Hey y'all, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. This morning, JD Vance did a round on the Sunday shows on CNN, NBC, and CBS and delivered what I think is the most shameful performance that I've seen in politics. I don't really like to use hyperbole such as that, but I took some serious time this morning trying to think about the last interview round that I've seen that was anything as grotesque as what JD Vance did this morning, and it was hard to come up with anything. I said I had just rewatched Palin, the infamous Palin Couric interview a couple weeks ago, and what JD Vance is doing is just orders of magnitude more disgusting and more irresponsible than anything Sarah Palin did, which is just kind of crazy to think about. So I want to dial in with you guys on one of the three interviews in particular, because I think that it shows just the lengths of his mendacity and just how far he's willing to go to advance his racist anti-immigrant arguments. So this is going to be a little bit from the Dana Bash interview. I'm going to play a couple segments for you. Here's the first one where J.D. Vance just straight admits that he is making up these stories.
The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
Okay, so, I mean, he literally admits it by accident. He says, if I have to create stories to get you guys to pay attention, he says what he's doing. He doesn't, he gives away the game. At other points in the interview, he keeps falling back on this notion that he isn't really making it up, and there are constituents that are saying this to him, that he doesn't provide any details. At one point, I think it was in the NBC interview, he does mention this video that Chris Rufo, a kind of anti-woke, wannabe MAGA intellectual type, posted of allegedly migrants, but we don't really even know. All you can see in the video is a barbecue grill with like what appears to me to be two chickens on it, but like they're claiming that it's cats, but again, it wasn't even in Springfield, this alleged incident in this grainy grill video. So he mentions that, but like he doesn't offer any other details at any point in these interviews, and then he again gives away the game by saying to Dana that he will keep doing this. He'll keep creating stories if that achieves his end. It's just a purely Machiavellian defense of his lie. So later, there is an extended back and forth between Dana and JD, where I must say, just another aside on this, he keeps using her name in a way that's very grating to me. I don't know. It's just it's not the shameful part of the interview, but once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. Yes, Dana. Okay, Dana. Okay, Dana. I don't. He has a very unappealing mien. Let's listen to another clip from later in the interview where he tells Dana to shut up.
You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda to silence the concerns of American citizens?
Again, so he's like he's being extremely condescending and smug. Saying like "shut up" is something that we tell our 6-year-olds not to say. How this helps with the gaping gender gap, I don't know, but I think it just shows that underneath this sort of sociopathic presentation, obviously this is getting to him, that he would kind of treat an interviewer like that. Then here's the last part of the clip that I really want to talk about.
Why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses J.D. Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth,
you have somebody
even if you misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass them. That double standard is why the people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
Okay.
So unfair, the way we're treated. You just asked me all these questions. You'd never ask Tim Walz these questions. And, because I guess Tim Walz isn't, making up kind of imaginary race wars in his head, which is, and spreading them on the debate stage. At least I don't expect he'll be doing that at their first debate here in a couple of weeks. But so it says, woe is me. It's his grievance. But here's what he says in that clip. Why don't you bring on some of the people who said that the migrants were eating their pets? These people don't exist. They don't exist. Dana Bash cannot interview someone that doesn't exist. Okay? Like, you made this shit up. This is an old wives' tale that's been going around for half a century now. I was reading an old newspaper clip from 1987 where they were talking about how Orientals are stealing pets and eating them, and how there's no evidence of it. Like, you just made this shit up, even though your wife is from an immigrant family, and your kids. I just can't imagine what his kids will think about this when they grow up. It is just so disgusting. He's like, I'm creating this imaginary racist narrative about Haitian immigrants. By the way, over the course of the interview, he continues to call them illegals. They're not illegal. They're here legally, for the most part. I guess I don't know that every single person in Springfield is here illegally, but broadly, Haitians were granted temporary protective status, and so they're allowed. Not only are they allowed, they're legally here in this country. They're taking jobs that need to be filled in the city. So he's just smearing and creating and advancing a horrific racist narrative about these people who are just working, coming to America, doing what everyone has done in the history of this country. It's what America is all about: to work hard, play by the rules, have a job, move to some place where they have more opportunity. This is this fucking country. It's what the country is about. And you're making up a bullshit lie about them, and then getting on your high horse with the media, and they're like, why won't you interview this imaginary racist that I made up to smear people that live in my state? The whole thing is fucking sick. It's George Wallace-esque. It is that he went on 3 shows today and just did this little rigmarole where he's going around this little smirk, acting like it's the media's fault for calling him out on this lie. It's deeply, deeply depressing and wrong. And JD Vance knows it. As I said in the podcast this week, JD Vance knows it. He called Donald Trump out for this in 2016. He said it was reprehensible. He said God wants better from us. That's true. Whatever higher power you believe in does want better for us, or just maybe other humans deserve better. All right, so that's it. We'll be back. We'll be continuing to monitor the campaign events, interviews that are happening over the weekend. Obviously, we'll be back with the podcast on Monday. Make sure you subscribe to the feed. We'll see you soon. Peace.